Have you ever felt like a square peg trying to fit into a round hole? Like you're constantly wearing a mask, hiding your true self to be accepted? I know I have. For years, I struggled with the belief that my introverted nature was a weakness, a flaw that needed to be fixed. I exhausted myself trying to be someone I wasn't, convinced that the only way to succeed was to mimic the extroverted ideal society seemed to celebrate. But the more I fought against my introversion, the more disconnected and inauthentic I felt. It took a pivotal moment in my childhood to understand the root of my struggle. When I was 9 years old, I found myself standing next to my dad in a neighborhood church prayer line, desperate for a miracle. Born with cerebral palsy, the result of a stroke during infancy, I lived with muscle spasms that contorted my hand, locked my leg, and gave me an uneven smile. I wanted so badly to be healed, to be whole like my siblings. As the faith healer prayed over me, my fingers began to loosen and stretch out. The congregation erupted in joyful praise, believing I had been healed. But alone in my room that night, as I felt my fingers curl back into position, my 9-year-old mind couldn't process what had happened. I felt unworthy, rejected by God, embarrassed and ashamed. I wanted to disappear. If I couldn't be invisible, I figured I could at least be quiet. Little did I know that experience would influence how deeply I leaned into my introversion for years to come. Our experiences shape how we express our introversion. We build mental walls, adopt behaviors that box us in, all to avoid feeling unworthy or ashamed. Every decision I made from that point on, in my marriage, as a mom, in my career, was filtered through that lens. But here's the truth. We've all had pivotal moments that left a mark. For introverts especially, it's easy to turn inward, to develop coping mechanisms that no longer serve us. Those behaviors become familiar, comforting, even as they hold us back from shining our true light. But being an introvert doesn't mean playing small. We weren't created to hide. That 9-year-old girl is still with me, but now her walls are down. When I feel the urge to shrink back, I lean in. I have tools to manage my energy and navigate the challenges outside my comfort zone. I can be social and enjoy solitude on my terms. Because embracing your introversion is not about changing who you are. It's about reconnecting with your truth and living it out loud. It's about honoring your needs and making space for what lights you up. The concept of introversion has been around for over a century. Pioneering psychologist Carl Jung proposed that we all fall somewhere on the introvert-extrovert spectrum. Most people are ambiverts, displaying a mix of traits depending on the situation. There are no pure introverts or extroverts. It's about our preferences and how we respond to stimulation. And yet, society often favors the extroverted ideal, leaving introverts feeling like they need to change to fit in. But what if we flipped the script? What if, instead of trying to fix ourselves, we embraced our introversion as the superpower it truly is? Introverts bring a wealth of strengths to the table. We're deep thinkers, great listeners, and natural problem solvers. We thrive in intimate conversations and can form profound connections. Our quiet presence can be a calming force in a chaotic world. So how do we as introverts begin to embrace our authentic selves and step into our power? It starts with leaning into discomfort. Be intentional about your time and energy. Practice opening up and allowing yourself to be seen and heard little by little. Feed your passions and starve your fears. The more you face them, the less control they have over you. In the past year, I've pushed myself to lean into life in ways I never imagined. I published my first book, rappelled from a 30-foot tower, fired a revolver, played dodgeball. A year ago, I would have talked myself out of all of it. Too risky, too exposed, too much potential for failure and judgment. But now I'm learning to show up as my full self, unapologetically introvert and free of shame. Because here's the truth. Embracing your introversion is an act of rebellion. It's a bold declaration that you're no longer willing to hide or apologize for who you are. It's a commitment to living life on your terms, not society's. And when you grant yourself permission to be authentically you, you open the door for others to do the same. Imagine a world where we all felt safe to be our true selves, where we celebrated diversity of thought, personality, and communication style, where we recognized that there's no one right way to be and that our differences are what make us stronger. That world is possible, but it starts with each of us having the courage to stand in our truth. So, to my fellow introverts, I invite you to join me in this rebellion. Let's redefine what success and leadership look like. Let's create spaces that honor our need for solitude and reflection. Let's use our gifts to make a difference in the world in our own beautifully introverted way. And to everyone here, I challenge you to question the status quo, to examine the biases and expectations that keep us boxed in, to make room for the quiet ones, the deep thinkers, the gentle souls. Because when we all show up as our authentic selves, we create a tapestry of human experience that is rich, vibrant, and unbreakable. My friends, I stand before you today, fully seen to deliver this message. You are not too much. You are not too little. You are exquisitely enough just as you are. The world needs your quiet strength, your depth, your wisdom. Stop shrinking, start shining, embrace your introversion, and watch as the world embraces you right back. Thank you.